Chapter 1. The Contract That Ruined Hell. Hell was very busy that afternoon. Screaming souls echoed through the caverns, demons argued over torture schedules, and piles of paperwork covered the massive obsidian desk inside the throne room. At the center of it all sat Demon King Azrael Vortigern, the feared Lord of Terror, destroyer of kingdoms, ruler of the underworld, and currently drowning in paperwork. Azrael slumped lazily in his throne, one long leg hanging over the armrest while his tail flicked in irritation. Taxes, taxes, more taxes, he muttered while flipping through a stack of documents. Why do the damned even have taxes? His secretary demon nervously whispered, "Economic structure, Your Majesty." Azrael glared. The demon immediately vanished. The Demon King sighed dramatically and grabbed his infernal pen. Fine, whatever. Approved. Scratch. Soul collection quotas? Scratch. Torture chamber maintenance? Scratch. Three-headed beast feeding schedule? Scratch. He wasn't even reading anymore. Just signing. Another document. Scratch. Another. Scratch. Another. Scratch. Then suddenly, a golden ring appeared on his finger. Azrael froze. The entire throne room went silent. Slowly, very slowly, he lifted his hand. The ring sparkled beautifully. "What," Azrael said slowly, "is this?" His eyes narrowed as he grabbed the last document he had signed. He reread it. Once, twice, then a third time. And then, he froze. The paper read, "Marriage contract. Between His Infernal Majesty Azrael Vortigern and His Divine Majesty Caelum Aurelius." Silence filled the throne room. A demon in the corner fainted. Azrael blinked. "What the hell is this?" he roared. The contract suddenly glowed with blinding golden light. A radiant halo appeared in the air, and before anyone could react, boom! A portal of heavenly light opened in the middle of Hell's throne room. From it stepped a tall figure with shining white wings, golden hair, and the most smug expression anyone could imagine had ever seen. Angel King Caelum Aurelius. He landed gracefully on the red carpet like he had always belonged there. Then he smiled warmly. "Good afternoon, my lovely husband." Azrael stared, then screamed, "You?" Without hesitation, he grabbed the contract and ripped it in half. The paper instantly healed itself. Azrael ripped it again. It healed again. He tried tearing it with magic. It still regenerated. Then the contract suddenly snapped its paper edge and bit his finger. Azrael dropped it. Ow. He glared at the paper like it had personally insulted his ancestors. "You signed a self-healing contract?" Across the room, Caelum calmly folded his wings like a man visiting a friend's house. "Of course." He smiled gently. "I had to make sure you wouldn't panic." Azrael pointed at him with a shaking finger. "You tricked me." "Yes." The angel said it with zero shame. One demon whispered to another. He admitted it. The other demon whispered back, "Bold?" Meanwhile, Caelum simply watched him with fond eyes. The kind of fondness usually reserved for adorable kittens. Or very angry husbands. Azrael noticed the stare. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Caelum rested his cheek on his hand dreamily. "Because you're beautiful." The entire throne room went silent again. Azrael blinked slowly. "Excuse me?" Caelum sighed softly, clearly remembering something which he always admires still now. "The first time I saw you," he said, voice full of affection, "you were standing on a battlefield." Azrael paused. He remembered that day. Centuries ago. The war between heaven and hell. Demons and angels clashing across the sky. And in the middle of the battlefield stood the Demon King. Azrael had been covered in blood and ash. His dark wings spread behind him like shadows swallowing the sun. His skin, rich and warm with a deep bronze tone, glowed under the firelight. His red eyes had burned with fury. To heaven he had looked terrifying. To Caelum, he had looked ethereal, I thought you were the most breathtaking creature I had ever seen, Caelum continued fondly. Azrael stared. You were holding a flaming sword, Caelum said dreamily. Your hair was messy, your skin glowing in the firelight. Honestly, I nearly forgot we were supposed to be fighting. You're insane. Possibly, Caelum smiled. But I fell in love instantly. Azrael rubbed his temples. He knew Caelum loved him, but he didn't quite know this was how he fall in love with him. Let me confirm something. Yes? You fell in love during a war. Yes. With the enemy. Yes. And your solution was… Caelum gestured proudly at the glowing contract. Marriage. A demon in the back whispered. That's actually kind of romantic. Another demon whispered. That's terrifying. Azrael groaned loudly. This is illegal. No, it isn't. This is manipulation. Technically correct. This is harassment. Legally affection. Azrael slammed his head against the desk. Meanwhile, somewhere deep in hell, a small demon counted a massive pile of gold coins. Why? Simple, because he helped the Angel King marry his beloved grumpy demon. Best bribe of my life, he whispered happily. Back in the throne room, Azrael looked up again. The contract sparkled. The ring glowed. The angel smiled lovingly. And the Demon King realized something horrifying. You're not leaving, are you? Caelum beamed. Of course not. Azrael screamed so loudly 3 demons fainted. Chapter 2, Clause 4, Paragraph 12. The Demon King of Hell had conquered armies, crushed rebellions, and terrified entire civilizations. But now, he was losing a battle against paperwork. Azrael Vortigern stood in the middle of his throne room glaring at the glowing marriage contract like it had personally insulted his bloodline. I refuse, he declared coldly. The contract floated in the air. Looking very unconcerned, Azrael raised a hand. A massive pillar of hellfire erupted and burned the paper to ashes. For exactly 3 seconds. Then the ashes swirled together. The contract reformed itself. Azrael's eye twitched. Fine. He snapped his fingers. A powerful curse wrapped around the document. The paper glowed, then calmly ate the curse. It ate my spell. A demon whispered. Your Majesty, perhaps… Silence. Azrael grabbed the contract and marched to the lava pit near his throne. Let's see you survive this. He threw it into the lava. The throne room waited. 3 seconds later, the paper floated back out of the lava and gently smacked Azrael in the face. Azrael grabbed it again. This time, he tried ripping it apart. The paper regenerated instantly. He ripped it again. It healed. He tried tearing it with demonic claws. It bit him. Ow! Azrael threw it across the room. I am being attacked by a document. Across the room, Angel King Caelum Aurelius sat comfortably in the Demon King's throne, like he owned the place. Which, technically, he might now. He watched his husband's meltdown with an expression full of soft amusement. Honestly, Azrael looked adorable when he was angry. His warm bronze skin flushed faintly red, his silver eyes blazing with irritation. Caelum rested his chin on his hand dreamily. He's so beautiful. Flashback. Centuries ago, the war between heaven and hell had been brutal. Angels and demons fought across burning skies. And in the middle of the battlefield stood Azrael Vortigern. His dark wings spread behind him like living shadows. His skin glowed under the flames of war. His silver eyes burned with terrifying power. To most angels, he looked like a nightmare. To Caelum, he looked ethereal. Caelum had been flying above the battlefield when he saw him. And then, he forgot how to fight. Your Majesty? One angel asked nervously. Caelum was staring. Who is that? That is the Demon King. Caelum whispered quietly to himself. I'm going to marry him. The angel army stared at their king in horror. From that moment onward, the war became very… strange. Instead of attacking Azrael, Caelum kept appearing near him. On battlefields. During negotiations. Even during Demon Council meetings, Azrael once walked into his war room and found the Angel King sitting at his table eating fruit. "Why are you here?" Caelum smiled brightly. "I came to see you." "We are at war." "Yes." "So leave." "No." Eventually, the war ended. Not because heaven or hell surrendered, but because Caelum refused to continue fighting the man he had fallen in love with. Instead, he proposed a peace treaty. Azrael had accepted it mostly because he wanted the annoying angel to stop appearing everywhere. Unfortunately, the peace treaty only made things worse. For centuries, Caelum kept visiting hell, bringing gifts, starting conversations, flirting shamelessly, slowly, very slowly. Even the grumpy Demon King developed a tiny soft spot for the persistent angel. Azrael never admitted it. But Caelum knew. Oh, he knew. Which was exactly why. He had taken matters into his own hands. Present. Back in the throne room, Azrael was still trying to destroy the contract. He ripped it again. The paper healed again. He ripped it again. The paper bit him again. "Ow!" Caelum sighed softly. Watching his husband attempt to break the contract for the 20th time was honestly adorable. Azrael's ears were slightly red. His cheeks faintly flushed, mostly from anger. "Probably. Definitely." Caelum smiled shamelessly. "You're blushing." "I am not." "You are." "I am not." The contract floated peacefully between them like it was enjoying the drama. Meanwhile, Caelum happily opened the document again. "Ah yes," he said cheerfully. "Clause 4, paragraph 12. Azrael slowly turned his head. "What clause?" Caelum smiled brightly. "Spouses must share a spiritual essence pool." There was a pause. A very long pause. Azrael narrowed his eyes suspiciously. "What does that mean?" Caelum snapped his fingers. A golden portal opened instantly. Azrael leaned forward. "What are you doing?" Caelum walked through the portal. It led directly into the Demon King's private chambers. Specifically, his bedroom. Azrael stared. Caelum pointed casually at the large black silk bed. "And according to the contract," he said sweetly, "spouses must share sleeping quarters." Azrael's brain stopped working. "You're moving in?" "Yes." "To my palace?" "Yes." "To my room?" "Yes." "To my bed?" Caelum nodded happily. "Yes." Azrael grabbed the nearest pillow and screamed directly into it. The entire palace heard it. A demon servant whispered nervously to another. "Is the Demon King being tortured?" The other demon whispered back. "No." The Angel King moved in. Ah, completely understandable. Chapter 3. The Angel Who Ruined Hell. Before the marriage contract, Angel King Caelum Aurelius had already been a constant nuisance in Demon King Azrael Vortigern's life. After the marriage, it got worse. Much worse. Hell had never been so organized. And that was exactly the problem. Azrael stormed through the palace corridors with a murderous expression, his black cloak billowing dramatically behind him. "Where?" he demanded darkly. "Are the screams?" The demons around him froze. "Your Majesty?" "The screams?" Azrael repeated slowly. "Why are there no screams today?" The demons exchanged nervous looks. Finally, one demon raised a trembling hand and pointed toward the torture wing. Azrael marched there immediately. He kicked open the doors and froze. Inside the torture chambers, the iron racks were gone. The chains were gone. The torture devices were gone. In their place were soft cushions, incense burners, and calming fountains. A sign hung on the wall. "Welcome to Hell's Meditation Retreat." Azrael blinked. Once, twice. Then he screamed, "Caelum!" A golden portal opened instantly, and out stepped the Angel King, looking perfectly calm. "Good morning, husband." Azrael pointed violently at the room. "What is this?" Caelum glanced around proudly. "I improved the torture chambers." "You removed the torture?" "Yes." That is literally their entire purpose. Caelum nodded thoughtfully. Yes, but the demons seemed very stressed. They are demons. They deserve emotional wellness. Azrael stared at him in horror. Unfortunately, that was not the only change. Later that afternoon, Azrael discovered the soul processing office had also been reorganized. Instead of lines of screaming souls waiting to be judged, there were now waiting rooms, comfortable chairs, soft lighting, and a large sign that read, Spiritual Healing Center. Please take a number. Azrael turned slowly to the demon clerk. Explain. The clerk whispered nervously. The Angel King said trauma processing improves long-term suffering efficiency. Azrael closed his eyes. I hate him. Meanwhile, across the room, Caelum waved happily. The worst change came a few days later. Mandatory therapy sessions. Demons sat in circles discussing their feelings. One massive demon sniffed loudly. I think my anger issues stem from childhood abandonment. Another demon patted his shoulder supportively. Azrael watched the scene with pure despair. This is a nightmare. Caelum smiled proudly beside him. I call it emotional growth. You turned hell into a wellness retreat. Progress. Azrael looked like he might faint. Despite ruining hell's entire aesthetic, Caelum still ran heaven perfectly, which was the truly terrifying part. Every morning he handled divine meetings through magical mirrors while casually sitting in Azrael's bedroom. Angels appeared in glowing projections. Your Majesty, the Northern Star Cluster needs regulation. Caelum nodded while brushing Azrael's hair. Approved. Your Majesty, 3 saints require promotion. Granted. Meanwhile, Azrael was sitting beside him eating breakfast. You are running heaven from my bed. Yes. While brushing my hair. Yes. Why? Caelum kissed his temple softly. Because I love you. Azrael's face turned red. Stop doing that. Unfortunately, Caelum's possessiveness had also increased after marriage. Dramatically. One day a demon general leaned close to Azrael while discussing military strategy. Suddenly, a flaming sword appeared between them. The demon general froze. Slowly, he looked up. Caelum was standing behind Azrael with a sweet smile. I'm sorry, the angel said politely. Did you have an appointment with my husband? The general immediately jumped back 10 feet. No, Your Majesty. Then please maintain appropriate distance. Azrael groaned. He's my general. Yes. We were discussing war strategy. Yes. Stop threatening my employees. Caelum sheathed his flaming sword calmly. They were standing too close. Azrael rubbed his temples. The summoning problem was even worse. One evening, Azrael tried to summon a mindless servant demon to bring him wine. He drew the summoning circle, chanted the spell. The circle glowed, and then Caelum appeared. The angel leaned down immediately and kissed Azrael's lips, then smiled warmly. Did you call for me, darling? Azrael stared. Why are you here? You summoned me. I summoned a servant. I am your servant. You are the Angel King. Yes, but I'm also your husband. Azrael pointed angrily at the circle. I did not summon you. Caelum looked thoughtful. Oh. Pause. The contract probably redirected the summon. Azrael stared at him. You hijacked my summoning spells. Marriage benefits. Azrael tried again the next day. Same result. And the next day, same result. By the 4th time, he was screaming. Stop answering my summons. Caelum appeared again with a bright smile. You called? Azrael threw a pillow at his face. Despite everything, the Angel King continued smiling lovingly at his grumpy husband. Because honestly, watching Azrael complain was his favorite activity. And the Demon King, though he would never admit it, had started sleeping much better at night with Caelum beside him, which Caelum absolutely noticed, and would tease him about later. Chapter 4. The Obsession. Everyone in heaven and hell already knew the truth. They had known it for centuries. The angel king Caelum Aurelius was completely, utterly, shamelessly obsessed with Demon King Azrael Vortigern. It had been obvious since the First War. The angels knew it. The demons knew it. Even the ancient dragons that lived between realms knew it. The only person who pretended not to know was Azrael. And now, after centuries of relentless devotion, manipulation, peace treaties, and divine paperwork, the Angel King had finally achieved his goal. He had married the Demon King, and Caelum had never been happier. Unfortunately for Azrael, Caelum's obsession had not calmed down after marriage. If anything, it had gotten worse. Much worse. Because now he had legal permission. Inside Caelum's private study in hell, a large golden mirror floated against the wall. It was called a scrying mirror, and it showed only one person, Azrael. At that moment, the mirror showed the Demon King sitting on his throne while angrily arguing with a demon accountant. Caelum sighed dreamily while watching. He looks so beautiful when he's threatening someone. An angel assistant stared at the mirror in mild horror. "Your Majesty, have you been watching this all day?" Caelum blinked. "Of course not." The assistant looked relieved. "I took a short break earlier." "Your Majesty." The Angel King also knew everything about his husband. Azrael's favorite snacks. His sleep schedule. Which silk robes he preferred. Which robes made him look the softest. Which ones made his dark bronze skin glow beautifully. Caelum had memorized it all. Every detail. Every habit. Every adorable little grumpy expression. But the most dangerous discovery happened one afternoon. Azrael had been wandering through Caelum's study when he opened a random drawer. Inside were hundreds of portraits. All of him. Azrael holding a sword. Azrael drinking wine. Azrael yelling at demons. Azrael sleeping. Azrael blinked slowly. Why are there so many pictures of me? Then he noticed the diary. The cover read, "Moments when my husband was cute." Azrael stared at it. This is a terrible idea. Naturally, he opened it. Inside were thousands of entries. Day 2147. Azrael kicked a demon off a cliff today. Very graceful. Day 3051. He wore the black silk robe. I nearly died. Day 4170. Azrael threatened to destroy heaven again. Adorable. Azrael's face turned bright red. You're insane. Behind him, Caelum appeared with a soft smile. Yes. Azrael threw the diary at him. You've been writing this for centuries? Yes. This is stalking. Technically admiration. Azrael rubbed his face. I married a lunatic. Caelum wrapped his arms around his waist from behind. And yet you still married me. I did not do it on purpose. That evening, Azrael decided he needed a break. Just a short one. Before the marriage contract, he used to leave the palace sometimes, fly around the underworld, enjoy a little peace. So he quietly slipped out of the castle. He had almost reached the outer gates when suddenly something yanked him backward. Hard. Before he could react, he landed directly into someone's lap. Caelum's arms wrapped around him instantly. The angel hugged him comfortably. You should stop trying to escape. Azrael crossed his arms stubbornly. Why? Caelum kissed his forehead gently. You belong with me. Azrael grumbled. Possessive lunatic. But he didn't move away. In public, Azrael remained terrifying. The Lord of Terror. The ruler of hell. Demons trembled when he spoke. But in private, he was currently sitting on the bed pouting. Because Caelum was blowing out the candles. It's not even late. It's midnight. I'm the Demon King. And you need sleep. Azrael crossed his arms dramatically. You're ruining my reputation. Caelum tucked the blankets around him anyway. Then kissed his forehead again. You'll survive. Azrael turned away grumpily. You're annoying. But 5 minutes later, he quietly scooted closer. Caelum pretended not to notice. The truth was simple. Caelum had always known. Azrael loved him too, just in his own strange way. Azrael's love looked like sarcasm, like tantrums, like dramatic yelling. But if Azrael truly hated him, he would have killed him centuries ago. Instead, he had allowed the angel to stay by his side, visit him, annoy him, protect him, for centuries. And for Caelum, that was more than enough. Because love didn't have to look perfect. It only had to be real. Of course, that didn't stop Caelum from teasing him constantly. Later that night, Azrael tried to leave the bed again. Caelum pulled him back immediately. "You are not escaping. I was getting water. You can get it tomorrow." Azrael glared at him. "I hate you." Caelum kissed his cheek softly. "I love you too." Azrael huffed loudly. But eventually he curled up against Caelum's chest anyway. Because despite all the chaos, the Angel King's arms had always been the one place where the Demon King slept best. And Caelum intended to keep it that way. Forever. Chapter 5. The Most Chaotic Heir. Nearly 1 year had passed since the marriage contract that ruined hell. Life had not become calmer. If anything, it had become even more chaotic. But one thing had remained exactly the same. Caelum Aurelius was still hopelessly obsessed with his husband. The only difference now was that he had an official title for Azrael. Husband. And Caelum used that word constantly. Every morning in hell started the same way. Azrael would wake up, and Caelum would already be staring at him. "Why are you watching me sleep?" Caelum smiled softly. "You look beautiful." Azrael buried his face into the pillow. "You are extremely creepy." Then Caelum would start spoiling him. Luxury silk robes, jewelry made from cursed gemstones, breakfast served personally by the Angel King himself. Azrael complained about it every single day. "Stop buying me things. You deserve them. I rule hell, not a jewelry shop. You look lovely in them. I hate you." But somehow, Azrael still wore everything Caelum bought him. Their domestic life was strange. Sometimes they argued. Sometimes they teased each other. And sometimes they disappeared into their bedroom for hours. The castle staff had learned an important rule. If the bedroom doors were closed and glowing with divine light, do not disturb. Inside the room, Azrael would usually complain. "This is ridiculous." Caelum would kiss his neck. "You're very cute when you're embarrassed." "I'm not embarrassed." "Then why are you blushing?" "Shut up." One day, everything changed. Azrael suddenly stormed into heaven's central throne hall. The angel council meeting immediately stopped. Every angel froze. Because the Demon King looked furious. He marched straight toward Caelum, then threw a medical scroll at his face. "Explain this." The angels gasped. The Angel King calmly picked up the scroll. He read it. Once, then twice. Then his expression slowly transformed into the biggest smile heaven had ever seen. His wings spread in excitement. His eyes glowed brightly. Azrael crossed his arms. "Why are you smiling like that?" Caelum stood up. Then suddenly, he dropped to his knees in front of Azrael. Right in the middle of the angel council, the angel stared in shock. Caelum looked up at his husband with glowing eyes. "You're carrying our child." The throne room exploded with whispers. Azrael's face turned red. "This is your fault." Caelum gently placed a hand on Azrael's stomach, then kissed it softly. Azrael grumbled. "Don't get smug about it." But he didn't push him away. The announcement spread quickly. Across heaven, across hell, across every realm. The Angel King and Demon King were expecting an heir. A child born from both light and darkness. A being whose power no one could even imagine. Hell celebrated. Demons threw parties. Meanwhile, heaven panicked. A very old archangel whispered nervously, "What if the baby destroys reality?" Another angel whispered back, "What if it inherits the Demon King's temper?" pregnancy turned the terrifying Lord of Terror into something far more dangerous. A very grumpy nesting demon. Azrael started collecting Caelum's fallen feathers. Hundreds of them. He piled them onto his throne, creating a giant fluffy nest. Then he sat in it. Anyone who looked at him for too long got yelled at. "Stop staring at my throne," one demon whispered. "Your Majesty built a nest." Another demon whispered back, "Don't say that out loud." The baby, nicknamed the Little Prince of Balance, was draining Azrael's dark mana, which caused several humiliating side effects. He became soft, sleepy, and extremely cuddly. To his absolute horror, Azrael once fell asleep in the middle of a council meeting. Caelum immediately caught him before he slid off the throne. The angel smiled lovingly. "My poor husband. I am not weak. You're exhausted. I am terrifying. You're adorable." "Stop saying that." Caelum was absolutely thrilled. He finally had an excuse to pamper Azrael 24/7. He fed him grapes, brushed his hair, carried him everywhere. The Demon King complained constantly. "This is humiliating." Caelum tucked a blanket around him. "You're glowing. I rule hell." "Yes." "I'm supposed to be terrifying." "Yes." "And you're feeding me fruit like a princess." Caelum kissed his cheek. "My princess?" Azrael tried to throw a pillow at him, but fell asleep halfway through. One day, Azrael's demon generals attempted to hold a serious war meeting. They gathered in the throne room. Maps spread across the table. "Your Majesty, we must discuss northern territories." Suddenly, loud hammering noises echoed behind them. Everyone turned. Caelum was in the background building a massive gold-plated crib. While humming a cheerful hymn, Azrael sat peacefully on a couch nearby, surrounded by pillows, half asleep. The generals stared. "Should we continue the meeting?" Azrael waved a lazy hand. "Go ahead." Clang. Caelum dropped a golden hammer, then immediately looked at Azrael. "Did the noise wake you?" "No." "Are you comfortable?" "Yes." "Do you need more pillows?" "No." "Do you want grapes?" Azrael sighed. "Yes." Months later, the palace erupted in chaos. Because the baby was finally coming, angels rushed around. Demons panicked. Caelum refused to leave Azrael's side for even 1 second. Hours later, a powerful cry echoed through the palace. Then silence. The royal healer stepped out with a smile. "Congratulations. You have a son." Caelum nearly cried with happiness. Inside the room, Azrael held the small baby carefully. The child had red eyes like his father, and soft golden wings like Caelum. His tiny horns glowed faintly with divine light. Caelum whispered softly, "He's perfect." Azrael looked down at the baby and said, "I carry him all these months and he dared to come out looking just like you." "Good," Caelum replied. "I was hoping he'd look scary, though." The baby yawned. Azrael sighed softly. "Fine, he's cute." They named him Aurelian Vortigern Aurelius, the Prince of Balance, a child born from both heaven and hell. Both realms celebrated the miracle. Angels sang hymns, demons threw massive parties, and the royal family returned to their chaotic life. Azrael still ruled hell, still yelled at demons, still pretended he hated everything. Meanwhile, Caelum continued smiling proudly. "My husband loves me very much." Azrael immediately threw a pillow at him. The baby giggled, and the angel king simply laughed. Because no matter how much Azrael complained, he had already won centuries ago. The demon king ruled hell, but the angel king ruled his heart, and Caelum intended to keep it that way forever.